Tax the rich, tax the rich. Say all you hypocrites, pay your fair share, but don't touch my share. At the Gala, oh Alexandria, the tickets cost 30,000, a table 275,000. Tax the rich, tax the rich, even if you are a witch. Say you want a conversation, but all you want is adulation. Say you're all about inclusion, but socialism is your solution. Tax the rich, eat the rich. Oh, the irony is such a bitch.
Welcome to the Beau Show. I attended the Met Gala this past week. Actually, I didn't. And I wanted to show you what I wore to it. Hope you like it. Take a look. It's simple, yet I think understated, right? No Oscar de la Renta or Tom Ford did not design it. It was actually me. So whenever people ask me, who am I wearing? I simply say, Beau, of course. It's interesting because even though I designed my own outfit, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez showed up in a very similar getup, but I guess her message was a little different. I thought I might take today's show to draw some differences between our two outfits and their meanings. Here's what A.O.C had to say.
You know, I get the message, tax the rich right there, but it's really about having a real conversation about fairness and equity in our system, and I think that this conversation is particularly relevant as we debate both a budget and reconciliation bill.
There's been a lot of hoopla over this publicity stunt, and what else would we expect from the same person who staged a maudlin cry fest at the border detention facility? Aurora James is who designed the dress, and she claims that A.O.C was following her career even when A.O.C was a bartender.
Well, you know, the Met Gala obviously is one of the most exclusive events in the world, and we wanted to come and deliver a message. And I think when we talk about inclusion and gaining access to closed rooms for people of color, when you finally get a seat at the table, you have to decide what the message is that you want to deliver. And I think for the Congresswoman, I think for myself, economic equality and economic justice was sort of top of mind, and tax the rich was really what we settled on.
Wait, what? Economic equality? Inclusion? The Met Gala tickets cost $30,000 a person. How is that inclusive? Who is included in that? Is that economic justice, equality? Who can afford to go to that? That monetary amount is some people's yearly salary. So let me get this straight. She wants everyone there to be taxed. Well, guess what? They already are. So she doesn't think it's enough. So what's fair? 50%? 75%? The designer says that the people at the gala need to be more liberal with their giving. Do you think that one person at that gala wants to give more of their money to the federal government? Aurora says that she used a lot of salvaged materials to make the dress because she believes in sustainability. Well, I bought this shirt for $3.99 and the paint for $1.99 at Michael's. So I'm keeping my overhead low too. Aurora James' brand, which she claims is a nonprofit, has $700 shoes and very expensive items. How in the world is that promoting economic equality? Obviously, it's not. It's absurd. Only the rich can afford it. It's such a self-loathing thing. Oh, I'm so rich, so I need to hate myself for it, but I really don't. I should pay more taxes, but I don't. As I do as I say, not as I do. This is all about a publicity stunt. It was done for attention, so that more rich people can buy her stuff who have no interest in paying more taxes. Have you ever seen a rich person volunteer to donate their money to the government? Well, wait a minute. Yes, I have. Donald Trump. He forewent his salary for 4 years. Oh, I see. Is Biden doing that? Obama? Kamala? Absolutely not. A.O.C responded to criticism by saying she wore this dress to have a conversation. Well, okay, let's have that conversation. The conversation begins with hypocrisy. She makes over $160,000 as a so-called public servant in Congress, which is well above the national median income. So the conversation starts with hypocrisy. So then she goes into an event that's 30 grand a head. That's more hypocrisy. Her designer sells items at egregiously high prices. More hypocrisy. And if conversation is the aim, what conversations were had that night at this gala? Many Republicans have taken aim at AOC on Twitter. Florida's GOP Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Núñez tweeted, "Only in America, where a self-described Democratic socialist can wear a $10,000 tax-the-rich dress, pay $30,000 for a ticket, and be praised as a champion for the poor. Champagne socialists like AOC are far removed from reality." That's a pretty accurate description. A champagne socialist. AOC, who is totally incapable of handling criticism, deflected by saying on Instagram that her body has been policed from all corners politically since she was elected to Congress. Is it though? Is this about body policing, or is it about a blatant message that she's trying to send on the dress that she elected to wear? No one is criticizing her right to wear the dress. It's the hypocrisy that she's displaying by doing so. She claims she had this conversation with the elites in attendance. And so what was the end result? Did they pledge to give up more income to taxes? I mean, if she actually did that, I would be impressed. If she got every elite there to commit to an additional, let's say, 20% of their income to the federal government, that would be a big win for her, would it not? But at least her message is consistent, which is to make America socialist. Thankfully, there's no again to the end of that phrase. Countries that develop out of socialism don't usually dream of going backward to it. Imagine seeing a red "Make Poland Socialist Again" hat somewhere in Eastern Europe. I guess the red, might signify a hammer and a sickle. Both AOC and her designer talk about promoting economic justice and economic equality. That indicates a revolutionary toppling of the economic opportunity model here in America, which is based upon education, ingenuity, and entrepreneurship. To them, justice means taking from the haves and giving to the have-nots, regardless of the disparity in work ethic or discernible labor. For AOC and her acolytes, the solution is socialism, as I indicated in my satirical opera earlier. Tax the rich is code for punish the successful. The truth is, those who earn more are proportionally taxed more as part of the progressive income tax. The more you earn, the more they take. And this is part of a redistribution of income. The reason that I wear this tax AOC and tax the hypocrite shirt is because they want to punish everyone but themselves. It's very easy to claim to be Robin Hood, but when it comes to your money, things change. I don't see AOC donating any portion of her salary to anyone, much less the federal government. We have seen how badly the government can mangle resources. Just look at the Afghanistan withdrawal that was botched. We pay the salaries of Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken, yet those two and others botched a withdrawal that harmed American lives. Why would anyone think that taking a bigger portion of the wealthy's share would make them any smarter, or rather dumber, than they already are? I've watched AOC many times in both press conferences and in hearings, and the Congresswoman fails to make any logical sense. Here she is in a skirmish with former border chief Tom Homan on the issue of the zero-tolerance border policy and family separation.
Family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
You can tell that the only point she wants to make is about family separation. She fails to consider the issues of domestic abuse or DUI, where a child might have to be separated from the parent. She's unwilling to make the admission as a viable reason. She fails to even understand the criminal act of crossing into this country illegally as a violation of U.S. code. And let's take a look at AOC's possible unethical conduct as well. Conservative group the American Accountability Foundation has filed an ethics complaint against AOC for her attendance of the Met Gala, raising questions about whether her ticket was donated or purchased with campaign funds. It could be considered an illegal gift since attendees were handpicked by Vogue editor Anna Wintour and Condé Nast, and therefore not a gift from a charitable organization. I suppose this will be looked into, and there's now 2 ethics complaints against her. And I'd never even considered this, but I suppose that's why these watchdog groups exist, for this very reason. The fact that it could even be considered an ethics violation is a bad look on the part of AOC. See, AOC thinks she's raising awareness and starting a conversation, but that can backfire if she has triggered an ethics violation. It's quite tone deaf to even go to the Met Gala as a congressman, because tell me exactly what constituents you represent by attending. How many of them can afford to attend? They are more concerned probably with crime in New York City, horrifically high taxes, and probably flooding from Hurricane Ida. AOC attending the Met Gala is no different from Hollywood celebs attending an awards ceremony. It's no different from Gavin Newsom going to the French Laundry or Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done. It's all an example of hypocrisy. I don't see Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, or Tim Cook donating their fortunes to the federal government. To charities? Yeah, perhaps. But that's their prerogative, I suppose. But I have yet to see these elites agree that half or more of their income should be going to taxes. You don't see a lot of volunteers, do you? That's why tax the rich is such an absurdity. Technically, she is going to an event of all rich people to send them an uncomfortable message, and she's praised for it. But if anyone came to that gala with a Trump 45 or MAGA hat, they'd be kicked out. This isn't true free speech, and what's more, it's not efficacious speech, it's empty speech. Imagine if AOC had come with a dress that had fair tax or flat tax on it. People might actually look into what that was and whether it was the right approach. Only if you would understand it, but tax the rich is just a battle cry. More specifically, it's a virtue signal. I mean, take a look at actress Daryl Hannah. She lives on a farm powered by solar. She drove a 1983 El Camino that runs on biodiesel powered by vegetable oil. At least she practices what she preaches. But AOC, the person who's always preaching about climate justice and economic justice, she has changed nothing in her routine. So she loses all credibility. Attending the exclusive Met Gala might have been the worst thing she could have done. As for Brother Vellies, the brand that her dress designer started, you can buy a pair of sandals for $565. I could get what looks like a version of an ugly Birkenstock for $395. Does this sound affordable to you? But yet, Ivanka Trump's affordable brand of shoes were banished from Nordstrom. Retailers are dumping Mike Lindell's MyPillow. It's a very selective process that rewards the liberally minded and punishes the conservative minded. That's what you could call ideological discrimination. And I think we might need to take a look at adding political affiliation as a protected class, because it's discriminated against all the time. Honestly, people lose jobs over expressing speech that is driven by political ideology. Donald Trump was banned from social media. Even Twitter put rapper Nicki Minaj in suspension because she questioned vaccines. Do you see how communist America is becoming? The View no longer has a conservative talking head. The Talk got rid of Sharon Osbourne. This is media trying to force its hand. I'm sure that AOC got lavished with praise by Anna Wintour and all at the Met Gala. But again, I have to ask, what was achieved? Did any of them agree to be taxed more? She says tax the rich, but the rich are already taxed. So are we talking amounts here? How much is fair? AOC is notorious for employing platitudes, these phrases that sound agreeable to a lot of people, but she's inept in how to accomplish them. notwithstanding an all-out socialist approach. She exaggerated her fear and danger in the January 6th events. She staged her photo at the border. Is this a person that can be believed or trusted? To me, she comes across as an actress, someone who does not have the logic to make life better, but someone who will show up just to make a point. It's also clear that AOC does not represent everyone. Even moderate Democrat Joe Manchin in the Senate does not support the current budget and tax plan. Communism and socialism have been disasters for the world. They have created miserable conditions for anyone who has lived under such systems. But AOC truly desires that type of governance. It's an unfortunate virus that is spreading in younger circles. It is floated as an actual alternative rather than the insidious hell that it creates. I don't think AOC actually knows the type of government she is supporting. And that is a byproduct of never having lived under that type of socialism or communism. If she had lived in Cuba or came from Venezuela and then was a gung-ho socialist, I would think, wow, she's really committed to this. But have you noticed that no one who leaves Cuba or Venezuela wants to copy and paste that governance style to America? They leave that environment. So when AOC proposes socialism, she doesn't actually know what she's talking about because she's only talking theoretically or in a utopian sense, not in the practical sense. She has never lived under socialist rule. She's never seen the morals it erases, the eradication of culture. The only thing she seems to acclimate to is class struggle. She thinks the government knows better than you, that it can tell you what to do, that it should prioritize laziness or class or gender or color identity over work ethic. The only reason she is heralded by the far left is because her words seem to be universal. The notion that the worker should be uplifted and the rich white guy destroyed. She fully supports a movement and an organization that destroys the nuclear family. She wants to eradicate immigration and customs enforcement. She believes in open borders. And open borders do not signify a nation. She's employing both class and racial struggle. No one policed her body at the Met Gala. She policed her own body with her decision to wear that dress. No one said she looked bad or ugly. They just said she wore a politically charged message that was hypocritical. They weren't attacking the messenger, but the message. If she wore this dress to a local county fair, who knows? What's even funnier is that a single mom lunch lady claims that she had a pre-existing design and that the dress that AOC wore was a ripoff of it. On Instagram, the Velvet Bandit shows the similarities and claims that in spite of the potential ripoff, she loves both AOC and Aurora James and wants to collaborate with them. So there's another Democrat not worried about having their work ripped off, just like China and intellectual property theft. How fitting. Also, there is the irony of AOC touting Aurora James as an immigrant designer, but she grew up in an upper-class Toronto suburb. Not exactly rags to riches, more like riches to riches. But wait, isn't that what the dress is supposed to be rallying against? Do you see how this whole story is just filled with irony? And by the way, Canada taxes its citizens way more than America. So it's interesting that James gets a tax break for selling her designs right here. Tax the rich or tax everyone else? And also, AOC defends herself by saying it was her responsibility to attend the Met Gala to preserve public institutions. I'm all for preserving the Metropolitan Museum of Art and other institutions because I myself am a performing artist. But if you tax the wealthy too much, they won't be able to donate their money to these institutions. That's where we see more irony. If you punish those who are big givers, they can't give any more. Honestly, if she'd worn a dress that said, "Save the Met," or "Long live art," I could be on board with that. It's something everyone could get behind. And we would all be talking about the preservation of art and Broadway and opera. But taking aim at people for being successful is not the way to go. Socialism creates misery for everyone. Communism has destroyed art and culture in China. The party becomes what is to be worshipped, not any artistic achievement. While socialism is this idea that young Americans are flirting with right now, perhaps to be trendy or counterculture, I can tell you that to be conservative is actually counterculture right now. Conservatism is the new hip movement because it's rebelling against tyranny and misery. AOC was way off the mark with this dress for all the reasons that I have outlined. She did not think this through, like a lot of her other statements, of course, as well. They come across as cringeworthy when all she's doing is grandstanding, just like when she got basically educated by Tom Homan about the border issue. I don't know why she has 12 million followers on Twitter. I would say 12 million people can't be that naive, but then again, California just allowed Gavin Newsom to survive a recall. I read an article in The Hill about this whole dress controversy, and the left thinks that people hate on AOC because she's pretty, because she's Latina, and because she's a woman. Because all of these identity issues. That's not true. Most people dislike her because she is a socialist who has very scary ideas, and 12 million people seem to like those ideas. It is not her responsibility to go to an elitist gala. It is her responsibility to make life better for Americans, which means less government intrusion, more liberty, less taxes, and a safer homeland. She stands for the opposite of everything I just said. She may have certainly created a conversation with this dress stunt, but I hope that the conversation is for all of us to realize how out of touch she is. I'm Beau, and that's the show.